Hello and welcome to this tutorial all about selections. There is a lot of stuff to get through. Let's get started straight away. I want us to come to Pixelmator, Preferences, bring this over here. You've got various basic tools here which you can add to your tools palette. There's one I want to add here called the Lasso Tool, so I'm going to click on that, drag it over, I'll put it there. And so, what's the selection? Well, let's click on this one here, the square selection, and I'm clicking and dragging out a rectangle like that. If I want to add to the rectangle, I can press down Shift, drag out another box, and it's there. If I want to take away from the selection, I can hold down the Alt key. You see that little minus sign there on the cursor? Drag that down, and it gets taken away. Now, if I want to press Shift plus Alt, I'm getting that little diagonal line next to my cursor. If I go there now, drag out a box, let go, that's the intersection. You can see it's made a selection based upon my underlying shape plus the new rectangle that I did. Whatever was in both areas gets selected. Incidentally, these modes are up here. Mode, normal mode, add to, subtract from, and intersection. Try not to bother with those. Just going up there and clicking all the time just takes up too much time. Instead, just go through them once more. Control plus D to deselect. Drag out a rectangle. Shift to add. Alt to take away. Shift plus Alt to intersect. Okay, that's our first part. Okay, what else can you do? Right, we'll stick with the rectangular selection for now. The first time you make your selection, if you hold down the Shift key and draw out, you can see it's forcing it to be a square. If I let go of the Shift key, any dimensions you want, hold down the Shift key again, and it's forced to be square. Alright, Control plus D to get rid of that. Similarly, if I hold down the Alt key when I'm making my first selection, it draws from the middle outwards rather than whichever corner to the opposite corner. If I hold down Shift at the same time, you're forcing a square which draws from the center to the outside. Okay, well that's all very nice. Well, what can you do with a selection? Well, let's drag out a rectangle, come to our paintbrush tool, click on it, select a nice bright color. Let's try that one. And let's open up our brushes palette as well. And choose a brush. Now I'm going to be tapping the right bracket key on my keyboard. If you take a look at where the P is on your keyboard, two bracket keys next to it, the rightmost one, I'm going to tap it again, make it bigger, and then you can see I can draw inside the selection, like that. If I want to draw on the outside of the selection, well that's pretty straightforward. Come to Edit, Invert Selection, and now let's try a different colour here. Ah, charming green. Now I draw on the outside of my selection. And that's it for selections. If you take a look, you can see this little line which is moving. That's called the marching ants. Okay, let's do something. If I come over to my Layers palette, hold down the right mouse button. If you don't have a 2-button mouse, please do yourself a favour, get one. One with 2 buttons and a scroll wheel in the middle. So right mouse button and duplicate. I'm going to call this one Border. Then I'm going to come to my rectangular selection tool, drag out a border, like this. Now I want some white on the outside of this, so I'm going to come to Edit, Invert Selection, so everything's now going to be on the outside. Then come to Edit again, Fill, Color, it's white already, that's great, and OK that. Alright, so there we have our white border, very nice. Okay, we're going to do something similar now, but this time using the Ellipse tool. I've created a new layer called Old, and I'm going to come down to my effects browser, click on black and white, and turn this to a black and white image. Then I'm going to come over to my Ellipse Selection tool, click around about the middle, hold down the Alt key to draw out from the middle, and I'm going to draw out an ellipse like that. Now it's not quite where I want it, so now if I click anywhere inside I can move it around. Click and drag with your left mouse button. About there. What I want is a soft edged image. So I'm going to come to Edit, Refine Selection. Now you can see there, you've got the hard edge around there, but if I come to Feather on Refine Selection, I'm feathering, I'm making a very soft edged mask there, and I click on OK. Now it goes back to that marching ant selection thing, but the underlying thing is blurred. So now, if we come to Edit and Invert Selection, back to Edit and Fill, let's try a dark colour. And OK there. Control+D to deselect, and you can see I've got that nice old-fashioned style blurred image. Refine selection is very important. Most of the times you'll need to feather your selection. I'll show you what I mean. If I come to the underlying layer and I zoom right in, see this red, see the red sleep suit? You can see it's not a hard edge. You get some pixels which are a little bit brown, a little bit red, some pixels that are a little bit more brown, a little bit less red, and similarly on the other side as well. So if I'm going to make a selection here, I'll come to my Lasso Tool here and make a selection like this. Just selecting that one particular bit. And then if I come to Edit, Refine Selection, right at the moment it's got a very hard edge to my selection. I don't want that. Come to Feather, and if you make it a little bit softer, the edge is looking more like the edge in the actual photograph itself. So you will use Refine Selection a lot when you're dealing with real world photographs. Let's move on. Let's duplicate our base layer again. Right click, duplicate, drag it up. Let's call this one Polygon. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in to this shirt area here. You just saw me use the Lasso Tool. And so if I wanted to select that shirt area, you might think, well, let's start off with the Lasso Tool. The problem with the Lasso Tool is it's not very precise. It's very difficult with a mouse and even with a pen and tablet to draw out a precise area. See, I'm making all kinds of mistakes around here. There you can see bits there which aren't so good. So I'm going to press Ctrl+D. Instead, the Polygon Lasso Tool is your friend. So instead of clicking and dragging, this one you go click, 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 and you go point by point, dragging out an area. This enables you to be much more precise than you ever could be with the Lasso Tool. The Lasso Tool, it's been around for a long time. I much prefer using the Polygon Lasso Tool. So much more precise. Even around these corners here. Bring it up and come back to Finish Selection. There we are. Okay, we've got our area there. Now, the other thing you should take a look at is Edit in Quick Mask Mode. Let's turn that on. Now you can see any active bits of the selection are transparent, and any parts of the mask where you can't draw on it, you can't do anything to, are all in this kind of red color. Now the nice thing about this is that you can add to it and you can take away from it. So come to the brush tool, and if I click on a white color, and then if I click anywhere in this mask area, you can see I can rub out parts of the mask, so now that bit would be affected. Similarly, if I come to black, come here, I can take bits out as well. So let's zoom right in and see what we've got here. And come back to our paint tool. I want a smaller brush size for this. So let's take a look and see what we can do. Using black to gradually come in. Let's make this even smaller. And start taking out bits that I don't want affected by any new changes. Hold on the space bar, you get the little hand. Click and drag with your left mouse, and you can drag around without without having to go out of zoom and come back in again. I'm going to make this pretty quick. The more time you spend editing your selections and your masks, the better results you're going to get. However, we've got a video to get through here, so I'm going to make just some very quick changes. Down here. And down here. I'm going to make it very, very small. I'm going to turn it to white, and I'm going to take this little bit here, which I didn't do with Polygon. Use a harder edge brush for this. I don't want that button to be affected, so make the brush about the same size. Click a few times. So now that button should be protected. Now you can spend all your time going to editing quick mask mode, toggling it that way, but if you just press Q on your keyboard, there it is. So now let's zoom to fit. There's my selection there. I can do various things with it, but all I want to do now is go to Control C and then Control V. And what it does, it places anything inside there that's been selected onto a new layer. All right, let's see what we can do with that. Let's try going to color balance, drop it on. If you zoom right in, you can see I'm affecting just those parts of the shirt. The button, if you remember, we deselected that, so that's not being affected. And there you go. The shirt's been affected, the surrounding area hasn't been. So now the mother says to me, well, I don't really like that red sleep suit. I'd prefer a blue one. Oh, okay, fine, fair enough. Well, there's a number of different ways to do that. Now, instead of using the tools palette and the various different tools there, I'm going to come to Edit, come down to Select Color. Now you can see I've got a little eyedropper here where I can select colors. I'm going to select this red color here. Move this up a little bit. And now, the higher I make this radius, the more colors which are closer to that red color get selected. Now, what I'm doing is I'm looking at the edge of the red suit. See all these bits in the inside? I'm not worrying about them. I'm worrying about what's on the outside. If I go too far, I start getting some of the baby's face in. So I'm going to bring that down again. Take it to about there. Click on OK. Now, do you remember some of these places down here still had some dark grey pixels? So if I come to Q, I can change the color quite easily to whatever color we want. What was it? Blue? But look, take a look at some of these bits here. Because when I was selecting by color, some of these bits weren't fully selected, so you're getting this kind of problem down here. All right, so I'm going to click on Cancel there. I've still got my selection, but now I'm going to come up to my Lasso Tool because I don't want anything too precise. And then I'm going to click on Shift to add to my selection. I'm going to come around these various different bits around here. Around the inside. And now, don't worry about that little bit there. It's just the edge of the photograph. It doesn't matter. And then I'm going to come to Q to double check my work and zoom in. Remember Q for quick mask. Okay, that's looking better. But you can still see I've got that slightly hard edge there. So what I want to do now, press Q to come out of quick mask mode. And then I want to come to Refine Selection. Because at the moment it's looking too sharp and jaggy. So feather it a little bit. About that much. Click on OK. Then I want to zoom out so I can see the whole image. Zoom to fit. Then I'm going to press Control C and Control V, and there's our new shirt layer. Control D to deselect everything. Now, let's come to that layer 2. Hue and saturation, move it around, and now you're getting much better idea of what we're looking at. Make it a little bit darker, and we've got the blue baby suit. I'm going to hide that layer, so I've got my original layer back. Okay, another way to select that red area. You've got two extra tools here which we haven't looked at. We've got Magic Wand tool and we've got the Paint Selection tool. They work in kind of similar ways, but they're actually pretty effective. Let's come to this area. I'm going to click and hold, and we're just going to drag outwards. Now, the more I drag, the greater the range of red colors are being selected. Now, as before, I'm looking at the borders of what I'm selecting. Keep on going, keep on going, keep on going. We're doing pretty well there. Now, if you can see, I'm starting to cut into the finger, so I'm coming back to about there. And then I'm going to hold down the Shift key and just start selecting all over again. That's starting to work quite nicely, quite fast. Still getting the marching ants around there, so come back to my Lasso Tool, hold down Shift, and do there. There's also a little bit just around the collar as well, so I'm going to come around here and select that. Also a little bit just down here, so I'm going to come back to my Magic Wand tool, hold Shift, click down, click and hold down, and that's that area selected there. Very quick and also a very useful tool. I wish certain other paint programs would do things this way. It's a very quick and dirty way to do it. Then, of course, what you would do always, you come along to Edit, Refine Selection, stick a slight feather on it, click on OK, and then come back to Hue again. And what colour should we have it? Nice gold colour. Oh, lovely, yeah, very tasteful. And click on OK. And there it is. So now, the mother says to me, well, wouldn't it be lovely if we had a little Martian baby with a green face? Yeah, okay, we can do that as well. So we're going to stay on our polygon layer. Come down to this tool here, Paint Selection tool. What you do with this tool is you start to draw out an area. And eventually it will come along and bang. It figures out what pixels were underneath what you've just been drawing and makes a selection based on them. Now, the rule with that is as soon as you come to a border, which you just did here, stop what you're doing, then click on Shift, come back, and start again. Come to the border, click on Shift, start again. This one's taking its time. Yeah, it's starting to come to a border here. Shift, and click, come to the border again. This is a very quick and dirty way of selecting kind of large areas, and then what you would do afterwards is you would come into just do these bits as well. So now what I'd do, come in with the magnifying glass tool, and now I want to press Q for quick mask mode and start refining our selection. Let's click in a little bit more. You can see around here, you can see that that's not quite right. So come to our paintbrush, make it smaller. When you're working in quick mask mode, you're going to refine your edge afterwards. So work with a fairly hard paintbrush, because otherwise you put down a soft area and then which will be made even softer when you refine afterwards. So we're on black. Oops. Change it to white. And take out that bit there. Bring it round. Come back to black. Add to this bit here. You can see I'm starting to get just little stray bits of pixels around here. Now I cut in a little bit much just here, so come back to white and take it out again. That's the nice thing about quick mask mode. You can add to it and you can take away as much as you want, which is very, very useful. Bring it around here. Still got some stray bits of pixels around here. Spacebar to turn into the hand icon. Drag it along. Bring it around. Now I'm working at breakneck speed here. I'm making a few mistakes because, well, you may have fallen asleep already. I don't know. Bring it down here. For a tight area like here, just go straight into it like that. Then click on white and then you can take it away again. That way you get lovely sharp corners. You cannot do that with the eraser tool. But you can with Quick Mask, which is very, very useful. You can see I've got some darker areas here which I really don't need. I'm going to take it into there again, a slightly sharper area, blodge into it, bring this down and around. Again, using a fairly tight brush, we'll look some bits down here as well need sorting out. Then come back up to white, nearly there, and take those out, and come back up to this ear, and do that. Okay, press Q to leave Quick Mask mode. Now come up to Edit, Refine Selection. Always do it in this order. Make your broad stroke selection so you've got the marching ants, then go into Quick Mask mode, do your fine tuning, then come out of Quick Mask mode and come into Refine Selection, and most times you will need to put a feather on it. One thing you can do as well, you can come to size and you can make it cut into the image or come away from the image slightly. That can be useful sometimes. So back to feather, too much, not enough, about there. Click on OK, and now don't fit. And let's come to hue and drop it on there and see what we can do with this. Oh, lovely. What colour did you say? Green? Okay, but it tastes well, not bad green. I mean, let's not make it things weird or anything like that. There, about there. There we go. Lovely. And click on OK. One Martian baby. Press Ctrl D to deselect. I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, maybe you consider clicking on one of the links below and check out my game called Disco Baby, which is on the iTunes Store or Android stores like Google Play. It has 3 different games in it, a memory game, a maths game for children, and a dance along with me game for toddlers to join in with. Thanks for your time.